Hello, Sunshine. If you want 2026 to be your best year yet, I want to start by saying this very clearly. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I don't believe in rushing yourself into a new version of life just because the calendar changed. But I do believe in timing. And energetically, this is a powerful moment. We're closing out 2025, which in numerology is a 9 year, a year of completion, release, and deep lessons. And we're stepping into 2026, a 1 year, a year of beginnings, creation, and choosing yourself again. What this means is this: if you don't consciously release what didn't work over the last year, or honestly, the last 9 years, you'll carry it forward with you. I don't want that for me, and I definitely don't want that for you. This series is about helping you learn the lessons and not relive them so we can move forward with more clarity, responsibility, and a lot more self trust. If you're new here, I'm Kylie Kwan. I'm a self development life coach and the founder of Courage to Course Correct. I help women go from overwhelm to ownership using practical tools and spiritual practices to reflect, reimagine, realign, and reclaim who they are and the life they actually want to be living. I'm also a divorced single woman in her 50s, a mom of two, an empty nester, and someone who has reinvented her life more than once. And what I know to be true is this: transformation is not a one and done, it's a practice. This series will unfold weekly throughout the next several months. Each episode will give you 2 to 3 steps to help you make 2026 your most aligned year yet. Not through hustle, but through honesty. Most people want to start fresh without telling the truth. They want to visualize a better year, create a vision board, set intentions for manifestation, but most don't stop and want to look at what actually happened. They want new habits, but don't want to acknowledge why the old ones failed. They want change without taking ownership and responsibility over what they had power to change but didn't. But real change starts with honest reflection, not motivation, not a brand new year. And before we can create anything new, we have to understand what didn't work. And we have to do this without shame, blame, or judgment. So today, we start with learning from our past, not to punish yourself, but to really free yourself. Before we try to create anything new in 2026, we need to slow down. Slow down long enough to learn from what actually happened. So, this first step is something called the regret review. Not to shame yourself, not to relive the pain, but to extract the wisdom so that you don't keep repeating the same patterns in the new year. And here's how I want to do this. First, choose one regret from 2025. Not a big list, not everything that went wrong, just one moment, one pattern, one decision that still has a little emotional charge when you think about it. Something you didn't do, or something you wish you had done differently. Maybe you didn't protect your boundaries. Maybe you stayed in a situation that drained you. Maybe you kept proving instead of choosing your own peace. Maybe your body was trying to get your attention and you completely ignored it. When I reflect on my own patterns, this is what comes up again and again for me. I didn't trust my inner knowing. This has been an ongoing lesson for me most of my life. It's improving, but I still have a ways to go. I'm still guilty of pushing hard when I should pause. I've held on too tight when I should have let go. And just notice what comes up for you without editing it. And then, second, I want you to write it down, physically write it down. I want you to actually write this regret out on paper. And yes, it might feel a little uncomfortable. And no, that discomfort doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. That's actually what learning feels like. This is you embracing change. This is you learning to have the courage to course correct. So write down what happened, write down how it made you feel, write down what it cost you energetically, emotionally, spiritually, physically, mentally. No judgment, just truth. Real honesty. And here's the key: this is not about beating yourself up. And I really want you to take a deep breath here. And what I'm about to say, I want you to let it land for you. Allow yourself to receive it and allow it to ground you. You were doing the best you could with what you knew then. And I'll say this again: you were doing the best you could with what you knew then. But now you know more. Third, take out a second piece of paper. And on this page, I want you to answer two questions. One, what did this experience teach me about myself? Two, what is one small specific way I can do this differently moving forward? Starting in January, starting right now. Not a big dramatic life overhaul, just one grounded, realistic adjustment, one small action forward in the right direction. Now, here's the most important part. Go back to that first page, the one that you wrote your regret on. Look at that first page with your regret one more time, and I want you to feel it. I want you to acknowledge it, and then treat yourself with compassion because you're human. We all make mistakes. I know I have, and I know I do, and I know some of the mistakes I make, I'm still making. But each and every time they come around, I make sure I do a little bit better than the last time. I tell my clients, and I also tell this to myself, this is because we're all human. Simply allow yourself to see the progress over the perfection. And I say, sing the Britney Spears song, whoops, I did it again. And then make sure that you learn from it. And then do the work on yourself to do a little bit better next time. So again, look at that first page with your regret, read it one more time, acknowledge it, have compassion for yourself. And then I want you to crumble it up and just throw it away. That page has done its job. The second page, the one with the two questions, what did this experience teach me about myself? What is one small specific way I can do this differently moving forward, starting January, starting right now? That's your instruction manual for 2026. Your past is not a liability. It's actually data, it's information. It's your honest awareness of what's true. And inside that wisdom is the wisdom that you actually need. That's how regret becomes an advantage instead of baggage you keep carrying forward. And when you treat it that way, you stop repeating it. Now that we've learned from the past, move into the second step. This one is about awareness before action, and it's called the pre-mortem, not because we're pessimistic, but because we're being honest. And again, there's honesty again. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they didn't anticipate what would pull them off course. And I don't want that for you in 2026. I don't want that for you ever. And here's how this works. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to imagine it's December 31st, 2026. You're sitting with yourself at the end of the year, and the thing you cared most about this year didn't actually happen. Not because you didn't want it badly enough, but because something got in the way. Something took you off course. So I want you to stay in this moment. With your eyes closed, just stay in this moment. Don't rush past it. And now ask yourself, what didn't change? Maybe you said you would choose yourself, but kept people pleasing. Maybe you wanted to set better boundaries, but you kept overgiving. Maybe you wanted clarity, but avoided slowing down long enough to actually feel into it. Maybe you wanted peace, but kept proving and pushing and hustling. Just notice what comes up. Next, ask yourself what went wrong. From that future perspective, it's December 31st, 2026. Start listing the reasons of what went wrong. And then I want you to open your eyes. Write down all the reasons for your imaginary failure. I want you to be specific and above all, be honest. Did you rely on motivation instead of support? Did you underestimate how tired you might be? Did you overestimate what you could actually accomplish? Did you keep putting yourself last? Did you expect yourself to change without changing your environment or your circumstances or your habits? Did you avoid asking for help? That's a big one. When I did this exercise myself before moving to Chicago, I realized something really important. If I kept going the way I was, I would be abandoning myself. If I tried to do everything perfectly, I would burn out. If I didn't fully trust what I thought, wanted, needed, and desired, I wasn't living the authentic life that I said I wanted. I wouldn't be upholding the commitment I made to myself that I set years ago. That awareness changed how I prepared. Now, I want you to design your year to protect your future. Finally, design 2026 to block those failures non-negotiably. If your future self failed because you didn't prioritize self care, I want you to schedule those non negotiables now. If you failed because you isolated yourself, identify your support system. If you failed because you kept ignoring your intuition, I want you to build in regular check ins. This is where clarity turns into self directed forward movement. This is where you fully step into knowing that you are the most important person in your life. And this is where you accept that you know yourself the best. And this is where you finally take ownership and responsibility for yourself, your choices, your actions, and have the courage to course correct. This is where you realign your choices and actions and reclaim yourself and the life that you want to be living. Look at the list you just wrote and ask yourself, what support would prevent this? What boundary would protect my energy? What systems would make it easier? What do I need to stop expecting myself to do alone? This isn't about controlling the future. It's about honoring reality because life will still throw curveballs. Transitions will happen and you will still evolve. But when you prepare with honesty instead of perfection, you create resilience, not pressure to get it right. You may be asking, why does this step even matter? Between the regret review and the pre-mortem, something powerful actually happens. You stop reacting to your life and you start leading it. You're no longer waiting to course correct after things fall apart. You're building awareness, you're building compassion and structure before you need it or when it's too late. This is what it means to take ownership and responsibility for yourself and your life without self blame, without judgment, while giving yourself compassion and grace that you're doing the best that you can. And this is exactly how we make 2026 not just a new year, but a more aligned one. If you skip the step, you don't learn the lesson and set the boundaries around it. You'll meet the same pattern again and again, just with a different face. All dressed up to impress, but totally just a disguise. You may have or get a different job, a different relationship, a different version of the same exhaustion. But when you reflect honestly and choose consciously, something shifts. You stop dragging the past with you. You stop recreating the same year in a new outfit. You start creating from truth. You begin to fully accept yourself and come back to alignment. This is how you make 2026 different. Before we close today, I want to zoom out for a moment and let you know what we're building together over the next couple of months. This isn't a one off conversation. This is a series that I'll walk you through each week because real change doesn't happen in one inspired moment on January 1st. It happens through reflection, realignment, and constant and consistent course correction over time. As we move from 2025, which energetically is a 9 year of endings, completions, and letting go, into 2026, a year of new beginnings, initiation, and forward movement, this is a really powerful window to release what's been heavy, learn the lessons from not just last year, but the last 9 years, and then intentionally step into what's next. Again, not through pressure, not through resolutions, but through ownership, honesty, and aligned action. So here's how the series will unfold. Episode 1 and 2 are about foundation. So today we started with learning from our past, looking honestly at what didn't work without the shame, and then turning it into wisdom. Next week, we'll move into designing your year. This is about clarity and about direction. And episode 3 and 4 are about structure. And it's not going to be about rigid routines or discipline for discipline's sake, but about systems that actually support the life that you're living now. Episode 5 and 6 are about motivation and momentum because motivation isn't something you wait for, it's actually something you build. And then episode 7 is all about sustainability and renewal because becoming the best version of yourself isn't about burning yourself out. It's about learning how to really stay with yourself, honor yourself. Throughout the series, everything we're doing follows the same alignment formula I teach and guide my clients through. so that they can go from overwhelm to ownership in life, in love, and in business. Reflect, reimagine, realign, and reclaim. And the truth is, this is not a one and done process. This is why later this winter, I'll be offering a deeper space for women who want to continue this work together through community, alignment practices, and ongoing support. And we'll talk about the importance of returning back to ourselves consistently to reflect, reimagine, realign, and reclaim ourselves and our lives. Why seasonal realignment is how real change actually works. But for now, this series is your starting point, your invitation to slow down, to get honest, to learn from where you've been, so that you can carry what didn't work into what's possible. But for now, this series is your starting point. It's your invitation to slow down, to get honest, to learn from where you've been, so that you don't carry what didn't work into what's possible. And today, it starts with this: learning the lesson so you don't have to repeat it. Release the weight. Decide what you're no longer available for. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to rush. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need the courage to tell yourself the truth and then choose differently. If you like support as you work through today's step, you can find the link to my regret review and premortem workbook. Next week, we'll take the next step together where I'll help you design your year. Remember, you are not lost. You are not behind. You are becoming. Until then, keep reflecting, keep listening, and keep becoming.